have your mind open to experience the culture you're going into. The way I think is like, I came here, I came to this place. So I gotta be open-minded and be willing to experience these new things, even though it's like completely different.
Guilherme Gava is a senior business major here at HLGU from Brazil. Gava was previously enrolled in a junior college in Texas before transferring to HLGU. Gava is involved in many activities here on campus, including being a member of the soccer team and being a student ambassador. Gava is thankful for his time here at the university, despite the numerous cultural differences that exist between here and his home country. Now, enjoy as we speak with one of the many incredible international students at Hannibal LaGrange University. I'm your host, Nick Sauers, and this is Campus Conversations.
All right, so I'm here with Gava today. Gava, how you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Awesome.
So can I just start out with what brought you to HLGU? How did you hear about it all the way from Brazil?
All right. So my story is a bit like different. So I was in a JUCO already. I was in Texas for like 2 years, and then I had to transfer, right? So I contacted a Brazilian agent that transfers people from like JUCOs or even like NCAA to another places. Then I had 10 offers. One of them was from HLG, so I spoke to Coach Lucas, and I really liked what I heard. Like HLG checked the most boxes on my list, so that's why I came here.
Gotcha. If you don't mind me asking too, like what were some of those boxes that you were looking for?
In my JUCO, I was the only Brazilian person, so I wanted like more Brazilians around. Here I have it. Also, like I like the facilities. I also like the soccer program, what Lucas told me, the way he was going to like do things. I agreed with most of it. I'm a business major, so I wanted to make sure that the business side of like the university was good. And then I looked into it. I also kind of like wanted some like a big airport. So it's like an hour and 30 minutes away from St. Louis, so it's pretty good.
All stuff that makes sense. I'm sure it helps having a pretty big international population on campus too, especially on the soccer team, right?
It does. But I also like my American friends here, you know what I mean? Like, I'm very close to Blake, who's a fullback on the soccer team. He's American, so I always like being around the internationals, of course, because like it reminds me of like back home, even though some people are not like from Brazil. It's just like good to be around.
Of course, yeah. Makes sense. 100%. What kinds of cultural differences would you say exist between Hannibal and Brazil? Like, I'm sure there's quite a few things coming here, like a little bit of culture shock. Like, what's that like?
Sure. So I would say that the biggest difference that I noticed, not only Hannibal, but like the whole United States, is that people in Brazil, they're like more friendly. They're like warmer. Not that people here are not, but in Brazil, they're just like a bit more. Also, the weather. This is just something I cannot get used to. It's too cold for me. Also, the food. So in Brazil, we eat real food. That's what we say. That's how we name it. And here we just eat junk food. You know what I mean? So like in Brazil, it's a lot more like rice, beans, and then chicken or beef, or like fish, and then lots of veggies. The biggest difference is, there's also the Walmart difference. Because in Brazil, if you say, I'm going to the supermarket, you're not going to find like computers, laptops, iPhones, and like all of this electronic stuff in the supermarket. So that's very different.
That's got to be kind of a good thing though, right?
Yeah, that's a part that I like. Because like I can buy a laptop just going 2 minutes away from my dorm here. That's nice, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned a little bit about the food too. Like, I'm just curious, what would you say is like the best traditional Brazilian food that you would have like back home that they don't have up here?
That they don't have up here. So there's a big difference between American barbecue and Brazilian barbecue. I would say that's the thing that I miss the most. Because like when you say barbecue here in America, people are going to be like, oh, I'm going to have hot dogs, I'm going to have burgers, like this kind of stuff. Whereas like in Brazil, it's completely different. We don't have like burgers or hot dogs and barbecues. It's like steaks, different cuts of steaks. Like the prime one is called picanha. It's amazing. You should try if you have the chance. And then like there's a Brazilian type of sausage called linguiça. We make chicken as well. We make lots of different stuff. So that's the one I miss the most.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll have to go down there and try that if I ever go to Brazil. So we talked about some of the differences. So I'm kind of going to like switch gears just a little bit. Is there anything that's like really majorly similar here that like maybe you thought was going to be different, or is it mostly just different between Hannibal and Brazil?
I would say like it's different, especially because in a town in Brazil with the population of Hannibal, there wouldn't be like any options. There wouldn't be a supermarket as big as Walmart is. Here I see like the population's relatively like small, but there are lots of like options for restaurants and fast foods. You know what I mean? Like it's a small city with things to do. In Brazil, if you go to a city like that, which is rare because most of the cities are way bigger than this, but if you go to a city this big, there's nothing to do, literally. Like it's gonna be rural, nothing.
You already talked about some of this, but like out of all the things that you listed that are different about Brazil, what would you say you missed the most? Like when you're going back for summers or whenever you go back, like what is the very first thing that you do that like you miss so much while you were in Hannibal?
So the biggest thing for me, in fact, the first time I went back home, because before going to the JUCO as well, I went to Canada for like 9 months. So when I landed in Brazil, like back in Brazil, when I went back home, I was almost like crying because it was like so warm and hot. You know what I mean? Like, so the weather is definitely like the thing that I miss the most. Of course, I'm just not going to say family because that's obvious, you know, like that's the thing that I miss the most, family and friends. But I also miss the food, as I said, because I mentioned it's like junk food or real food. I prefer real food. And I just miss being around family and friends. Social life in Brazil is much more like active. It's like a cultural difference. I think because it's hot the whole year, so we just like to go out like to play sport and do things outside. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I get you. As somebody who's lived in Missouri their whole life, I get the weather thing. I miss the weather from Brazil, and I've never been there. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So shifting gears a little bit to talk about like specifically your time at the school. How have the culture differences that you've experienced impacted your time as an athlete? And like that could be positive or negative too. Like that could work in your favor, or maybe some things are a little more challenging. Like, can you just tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So I'm a soccer player here, right? So I've played college soccer for 4 years, and I've noticed and like realized the soccer in Brazil and soccer here are a bit different. So there is like, and I think it has to do with like culture and everything. Because in Brazil, you have more time on the ball. You can think about what you're going to do. People are more technical instead of being more physical. And then when I got here, I saw everybody, like, people are stronger, faster. They're not as technical, but, like, they hit people. You know what I mean? Like, the game is way more physical. So that's a big difference. It's almost like two different sports. In Brazil, you think more. You kind of, like, have better passes, better like finishing quality and dribbling quality. But then here, it's like you get the ball, there's people running at you, you know, like pressing and everything. So that's like a big difference for me. And I would say I got used to it. Like I didn't find it hard to get used to because I kind of like I'm a defensive player. But I would say, let's say the guy that plays as a 10, he probably struggled a little bit more.
Yeah, I get you there. And you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but it makes it probably a bit easier that we have a really big international population, especially within the soccer team.
Oh yeah, it does. And I think like everybody seems to have gotten used to the game here. You know, and even like Coach Lucas, he's Brazilian. So he also had like the process of getting used to it. And one thing that I was realizing is that soccer here might be more physical and more like pressing oriented because of the other sports here that are so popular, like the NFL or like NBA, you know? Everybody's pressing in those sports, right? Everybody's running at people. So I think like because of that because of like these sports being so popular, they kind of translate to the other sports that are not as popular. You know what I mean?
For sure, yeah. That definitely makes sense. So we talked a little bit about you being an athlete. What would you say the cultural differences have been like dealing with it as an ambassador? Because I know you're also ambassador. You know, you're giving tours, you're talking to prospective students. Like, what does that look like for you?
No, actually, I think that the cultural differences have helped me with that, because like, as you said, we give tours, and like on the Trojan days, it's big tours for lots of people. So I think that being more friendly and open to talk to people, because I do that since I was a little kid, you know what I mean? Like, we just talk to people, we just have like conversations. It has helped me to give tours and to kind of like interact with the families and the prospective students, and like answering all the questions, having a small talk, telling them about my experience on campus. So it has definitely helped me.
For sure, yeah. And I don't know if you've given any tours with like other international students, other soccer students, but that probably helps, does it? Or
Yeah. I mean, one time I had to give a tour, and Blake was my partner to give the tour. So it was awesome, because I was and the guy we were giving the tour, one of the guys he was a soccer player. So he was asking so many questions, and I could tell him about like my perspective, and Blake could tell him about his perspective. So it was pretty valid experience.
yeah, that sounds good, man. So just to wrap it up real quick, I've got one last question for you. If you were to speak to someone who was planning to go to school in a different country, what would be the kinds of advice that you would give that person?
Okay. So I would start by saying, before you go to a different country, learn the language.
Yeah.
That will help you quite a bit, honestly. Because if you don't know the language, you're going to struggle. And also, like, have your mind open to experience the culture you're going into. Because I see some people that come here and they are like, oh, I don't like this. This is too American. The way I think is like, I came here, I came to this place. So I got to be open-minded and be willing to experience these new things, even though it's like completely different. It's cool as well, It's not because it's like different that it's not going to be cool. Like the food, I say I prefer real food, but I also like the junk food, you know what I mean? Like, it's also good. So be open-minded and learn the language for sure.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Special thanks to Guilherme Gava for being today's guest. Despite coming all the way from Brazil to attend college in Hannibal, Missouri, Gava has used his cultural experiences to positively influence campus in many ways. Until next time, I'm Nick Sauers, and this has been Campus Conversations.